Well, after getting back to the winning ways, after playing 3 Premier League games without a single win, Erik ten Hag has gone ahead and reacted a lot to how we really played. And the most huge story that has gone ahead to catch my attention has been the Eriksen Progress, on whether he's going to be available for the game of Everton or not. Welcome to United Matters channel, guys. How are you guys, and where are you watching us from? Anton Martial, Erik ten Hag, talking about his fitness levels and how he's progressing. Even Marcus Rashford has gone ahead and really issued a statement onto Anton Martial, with Erik ten Hag confirming to us that we are so much dependable on Marcus Rashford, but he had other lines to add on to that, with Scott McTominay coming in through and obviously giving Marcus Rashford his flowers. So guys, good evening. First video of the day. More easier to come on this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. How do we subscribe on this channel? You know how we do it. You go ahead and really smash the black button that has the word subscribe. After smashing it, with the notification bell, that will enable you get notified every time we upload a video onto our beautiful channel. Now, Ericson is one of those players that maybe we thought was going to be back yesterday, but obviously it looks like he's not yet ready, and the manager had something to say about Eriksen in the post-match press conference, and these were his words, that Eriksen is progressing. He's now back only this week in team training, tomorrow and today, after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, that is Friday. We have 2 sessions. After that, we will decide if he's back in the squad again. Now, for Eriksen, he's one of those players that I would love to see in the game of Everton. Not as a starter, but as a player who really comes off the bench. Like yesterday, you have to understand that if at all Eriksen is playing into that midfield, you 100% believe that he's really going to be giving you a lot of possession. Assists, remember the time he found himself injured, he had close to, are they 13 assists or 11? Let me see here. Let me be exact. So, when you look at the stats of Eriksen this season at Manchester United, he had 7 assists in the Premier League, 2 assists into the UEFA Europa League, and he had 1 goal in the Premier League and 1 goal into the EFL Cup. So that means he had 11 goal involvements with 7 assists. But remember, he was not played as a number 10. He was being played as a deep lying midfielder, a number 8, close to Casemiro. That's where Eriksen was always being played. So to me, it comes to my understanding that if Eriksen is available in the game of Everton, that's going to be a very huge boost for us as Manchester United, because you wouldn't like to miss out on qualities of a player like him. Even though the midfield starts like that against Brentford, Bruno and Scott McTominay playing in the double pivot, Sabitzer playing ahead of them, you would at a point X want Eriksen in, especially if the team is losing or is looking for a goal, or even if the team is really leading and they need some bit of composure and game control, you'd love to be having Eriksen because of his Premier League experience. Secondly, he's one of those players that you'd expect to create something out of nothing. He's really brilliant, you know. He's one of the technically gifted players that we have in that midfield of Manchester United, and his availability goes ahead to improve on our quality. With the likes of Sabitzer raising their levels to perfection, as Erik ten Hag has gone ahead to confirm to us that Sabitzer was one of the players that really performed very well into that game of Brentford, and I gave him my man of the match. Though I saw Nachted Esther calling me out and said it's supposed to be Martinez, but I think Sabitzer really had his best game for Manchester United. Though in the second half, he was not all that shining because of us having not been so much on the ball. But if you're having Eriksen, even if he comes in for Sabitzer, it will be a very, very big plus for a team like Manchester United. So I think Eriksen, for me, I see him making the bench in the game against Everton, because Ten Hag knows that he needs to get some minutes in his legs to be ready to play in the game of Sevilla. You know, in the game of Sevilla, we might see ourselves welcoming back Casemiro and Eriksen. That's it. And the last game that Casemiro is not going to be playing for Manchester United is going to be against Everton. That is on Saturday. It's the early kickstart off. The good thing is at Old Trafford. If it was at Goodson's Park, it would have been a hard one, but it's at Old Trafford, and we must really win that. So Eriksen needs to get some minutes in his legs, such that he prepares for the game of Sevilla, and the semi-finals going to play away at Wembley. You know, when you hear Eriksen and Casemiro back, when you're going to be playing at Wembley against Brighton, you just feel like winning vibes around that game. You know, having a bench that has Sabitzer, Sancho, Fred, Pelestri, you know, it's really hope-giving. It's really hope-giving, and it's really one of those things that it's one of those things that you find rare at Manchester United, because Ten Hag has told us that he has only played once when he had a fully fit squad, and that was in the game of Man City that we beat them at Old Trafford by 2-1, and he really deserves a chance to come in through and obviously find himself in position of having a fully fit squad, meaning that in the game of Sevilla, you get Brighton. From the game of Sevilla, we are going to be having a fully fit squad apart from Garnacho, you know, but the rest of the players are going to be available. Casemiro, Eriksen, Martial, Rashford. I think it's really something great for the manager. So I think we have a reason to really be positive about this season. And trust me, we are going to finish third. We are taking that third spot off Newcastle, because Newcastle is going to play some other 2 games away from home, Southampton and Aston Villa. Now, on Antoine Martial, he said, I don't think he's fit enough to start yet. You have to be very careful with his injury history. I don't want to take the risk because I know he has a big impact on our performance when he's on the pitch. And I think Ten Hag gotten to know the mistakes or the wrongs he always did of hiring Antoine Martial back on the field of play, because Antoine Martial has been coming back from injury. Ten Hag used to play him 45 minutes, and then the next game he starts him. I think that's really affected his body, and this time around he got to know that you shouldn't rush him. In the game of Newcastle, he played 30 minutes. Yesterday played close to 25 minutes. That is Antoine Martial for you, and obviously the manager decided to go all out and say, I have to non-start him in most of the games. And I think that is right of a manager of the caliber of Eriksen, because after trying it out on several occasions and he found himself injured, no reason for him to give to us to see to it that he starts him. So I really appreciate everything that Ten Hag has gone ahead to do as a manager of Manchester United, and the way he's really so much paying attention to detail on the injuries of every player. You know, when you look at players like Varane, for him, even if he has been injured, he can start him 2 games consecutively. And this is where I come to really insinuate that on Saturday, Rafael Varane is not starting because he can't play 3 games consecutively. Now, for players like Erikson, I know he's going to bring him back. That's it. If at all he gets missed the game of Everton, trust me, on Thursday he's starting against Casemiro to prepare him for the game of Brighton. That's it. And for Marcus Rashford, even if he was injured in the previous game, he starts him the next game because he knows that his body has shown that it can be really resilient to any further injuries. That is it for Eriksen Hag, and I think he's trying to understand a player, each and every player at Manchester United differently as far as handling his injuries concerned. But for Martial, it's a special case that he just needs to get him slowly in to see to it that he doesn't get injured and really reaches that level of being 100% fit. But all of the 2 games has played, though he has come off the bench against Newcastle and against Brentford, you see that there is a difference in the way we play when Martial is leading the line. And for Antoine Martial, he just has to keep himself fit. If he can keep himself fit until the end of the season, I think that talk of him being up for sale is going to be rubbished. It's going to be thrown out by Erik ten Hag and the media. I think the media are just trying to force out stories. You know, sometimes getting stories to write is really hard. I think they do it for that. But for me, I like Martial. I like Antoine Martial as a player, but he needs to find himself fit. Then Marcus Rashford again had the following to say about Antoine Martial. that we know what a good player he is. I'm happy to see him back with the team. That's where he's smiling and happy. It's a good thing. I hope he stays fit because he will be very important for us. Guys, if you are to win the FA Cup and to win the UEFA Europa League and finish third this season, Anton Martial should be part of that. Casemiro should be part of that. Varane should be part of that. For Lisandro Martinez, it's a given. Ever since the season started, I've never seen him injured. I've never seen him injured. The only games that he was not played, the reason was he had just returned from the World Cup and the manager thought that maybe he needed some rest. That's it. But the most important players we know at the club of Manchester United are David De Gea right now, Rafael Varane, Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, Anton Martial, Marcus Rashford. If we can keep those players fit, then we can win the remaining 2 trophies. We can beat Brighton at the semi-final and beat City in the finale. We can knock out Sevilla, AS Roma in the semi-final and win the trophy. That's what I really believe we are going to be facing as a team of Manchester United. But good to see to it that his fellow players are really great because they know what he is when he's playing for the team. He's really a very special group of player, but he needs to find himself fit all the time. Ten Hag also had the following to say about Marcus Rashford, that yes, the truth is that the team is too dependent on Rashford to score, but we know other players can score too. Bruno Fernandes can score, Anthony can score, and Jadon Sancho can score, Marcel Sabitzer can score. So it looks like our goals are even distributed, but Marcus Rashford has scored very many goals for the club of Manchester United. But to me, I believe in the previous games, we've not been scoring, and he has also not been scoring, meaning that we're not dependent on him. That's it. You know, if you're dependent on him, that means... No, I'm sorry. The previous 3 games just showed us that we are dependent on him because we are not scoring. And when it mattered most for us to score, it's the man that really scored those goals. And it looks like we had found a solution to that, but I think we found ourselves in a position of not scoring those goals again. Against Real Betis, it was Weghorst, Bruno Fernandes, Fred, and Marcus Rashford again. So, according to me, I believe the team is really playing very, very well, and the return of Anton Martial and Erikson plus Casemiro is going to give us a different extension altogether, the team of Manchester United, and I think we are going to create more and more and more goals because of those players returning, and we're going to be playing more of a unit, and every team that has not played us, with Casemiro, Erikson, and Martial available, they are going to dance. They are going to feel the heat this time round. Scott McTominay has come out and said the following about Marcus Rashford. We need him. The manager is demanding. He wants more from him, and so do we. But we have to share the goals, and I could have scored 2, but that's the ball. And obviously, Scott McTominay could have found himself on the score sheet yesterday, but he was just unlucky on the day. But Marcus Rashford, he wants it more, and Eriksen keeps telling him we want more goals, and obviously he's not afraid to take on the risk. So guys, your thoughts on to Christian Eriksen progress confirmed by Eriksen, meaning that he might be part of the bench of the squad as we play Everton. Your thoughts onto that are welcome in the comment section below. What do you think about Martial as return and being dependent on Marcus Rashford? Guys, I sign out for now. See you later. More is yet to come onto this channel. Bye.